Shocked, David Beckham's son Cruz David Beckham drove a car while drunk and had an accident with a fractured skull. A light rain continued throughout the afternoon, making the air in London damp and cold. But in the dark, the street lamps still lit up lonely, illuminating the quiet streets of the British capital. It was a normal evening like any other, until an urgent phone call disrupted everything. The story began on a Saturday night, when Cruz David Beckham, the third son of the famous couple David and Victoria Beckham, had an unforgettable evening. Cruz, who had just turned 20, had made steady steps on his music career path, but like many other young people, he could not avoid the temptations and challenges of life. That evening, Cruz and a few of his close friends attended a party at a famous club in London. Everything was fun at first, with vibrant music and sparkling colored lights. But Cruz didn't expect that his decision to drink too much would change everything. Within hours, he was so drunk that he was no longer in control of his actions. Although Cruz had been criticized for his reckless behavior a few times before, this time was different. After the party ended, Cruz decided to drive the Porsche he had bought a few months ago. He didn't think about the possible consequences. Even though a friend advised him not to drive in such a state, Cruz still didn't listen and insisted on driving home. The Porsche sped through the empty streets of London, the wheels spinning quickly on the wet pavement. Cruz tried to concentrate, but the drunkenness made it impossible for him to keep a steady grip on the wheel. Everything became blurry before his eyes, the street lights flashed in his mind, making Cruz unable to realize that his speed was increasing rapidly. As the Porsche rounded a dangerous curve, Cruz lost control. He couldn't react in time as the car hit the sidewalk and flipped over, crashing into a traffic light pole. A loud crash echoed in the dark night, followed by an eerie silence. Cruz was thrown from the driver's seat, his head hitting the windshield. Blood began to flow from the wound on his head, causing him to pass out immediately. A passerby heard the crash and ran over. He immediately called an ambulance, and within minutes, the ambulance arrived. Cruz was rushed to the emergency room in critical condition, with severe head injuries and a badly fractured skull. The so-called traffic accident became a tragedy, not only because of Cruz's imminent death, but also because of its impact on the Beckham family, a family that has always been associated with perfection in the public eye. When the news of the accident became public, not only Beckham fans but also the media were shocked. Cruz Beckham, the son of David Beckham, one of the most famous families in the world, was the one who caused this accident. This caused a stir and received special attention from all sides. The media quickly reported the accident, along with heartbreaking images from the scene of the accident, making everyone who watched shudder. The Beckham family faces tragedy. Immediately after receiving the bad news, David and Victoria Beckham immediately flew to the hospital where Cruz was being treated. Cruz's condition was very serious. The doctors said he had suffered a severe traumatic brain injury, a fractured skull and brain damage that could put him at risk of lifelong paralysis or even death. This left Cruz's parents, especially David Beckham, in a state of despair. As a father, David felt extremely helpless when he could do nothing to help his son in this situation. The entire Beckham family seemed to be disoriented, as the incident was not just a simple traffic accident but also had serious consequences. Reporters crowded in front of the hospital gate, hunting for any information about Cruz's condition. Everyone wanted to know whether Cruz could overcome this critical condition, and how the Beckham family would react. "We are praying for Cruz. This is the hardest time of our lives," David Beckham said at a hastily arranged press conference outside the hospital. "We just hope that Cruz can pull through this. As parents, we love our son and we will do everything we can to help him." Victoria Beckham, known for her calm demeanor, could not hide her grief. She tried to hold back tears, but everyone could see the worry in her eyes. "Cruz means everything to us. As a family, we will always be there for each other in these difficult times," Victoria told reporters, her voice breaking. The accident not only had a huge impact on the Beckham family, but also caused a stir in public opinion. Many felt sorry for Cruz, but many also criticized him for driving while intoxicated. They believe that Cruz, as a celebrity, should be more conscious of his actions, because each of his actions affects not only himself but also his family and fan community. Cruz Beckham's condition. It was not until 3 days later that Cruz Beckham gradually regained consciousness after the lengthy surgery. Doctors had to perform emergency brain surgery to minimize damage and protect his brain. During this time, Cruz was in a coma, with doctors unable to give an accurate prediction of his recovery. They could only confirm that his condition was very serious and needed close monitoring. When Cruz woke up, his closest relatives, including David and Victoria, were present at his bedside. Cruz, whose face was still covered in bandages and wires, opened his eyes and looked around, realizing that he was in the hospital. He felt an indescribable feeling, guilt, fear, and a vague sense of his own life. "Daddy? Mom?" Cruz whispered, his voice weak but filled with worry. David and Victoria both held his hands, saying nothing, but their eyes were filled with pain and worry. They both knew they had a long journey ahead of them to help Cruz recover, not just physically but mentally. Conclusion and lessons learned. This accident has opened an important dialogue about the negative effects of drinking and driving, especially for celebrities, whose every move is scrutinized by the public. It is also a powerful reminder of the need to take responsibility for ourselves and those around us. Cruz Beckham, after a long period of recovery, is finally getting back to his health. However, he will have to live with scars not only on his body but also on his soul. And for the Beckham family, they have learned that, although life can have difficult moments, love and family unity will always be the strength to overcome any challenge. The story of Cruz Beckham is a sobering lesson about temptation, thoughtlessness and sin in life. But more importantly, it is a story of forgiveness, recovery, and the strength of family in the most difficult of times.